Hello, my name is Mhakey, and welcome back to the channel. It is March 18th at 11:19 p.m., and we are at the eve of pretty much the most chaotic weekend in all of college basketball and all of sports. It is March Madness. Now, unfortunately, we cannot talk about March Madness today. Sadly, this is not a March Madness channel, this is a League of Legends channel. But this the last couple of the last couple of hours were maddening into so many people. Now, in case many people do not know, this is not a first stand report thing. I decided to cancel the first stand report thing because, in all honesty, reviewing two 3-0 series in which one team looks crap, the other team won but doesn't look great. One team was putting up an up and down performance, the other team was good in some places but never executed to trying to win. So that was pretty much the summary of all these series. If you wanted to do more analysis, go to psychopathic poro and all kinds of stuff. I don't want to do that. And to be honest, I mean, tomorrow's series will be like the same as well. Like, do you believe the Lion can even take a game against Gen G? I don't think so. Same thing with Loud. Although you could say that Loud might have a chance to take a game with JDG, but that's pretty much a stretch. Anyways, we have to do the news of the day. And the news of the day is pretty much simple. The LEC is been contracted. Or, put it in a simpler way, they are going to put games online. Now, it's a rumor, by the way, and it's going to not happen until 2027. If that is true, then the LEC studio will probably get to see less and less days. Now, of course, Mr. Shinog, which I follow on Twitter, by the way, he's also, by the way, a finance partner in NYC. So this guy not only does the League of Legends gaming and all kinds of stuff and his content, but also he has finance. He has degrees. This guy knows business and this guy knows the stuff. So he's not a dumb person like everybody else. He knows the crap. And he made the rounds on Twitter saying, I get why people will be scared, but the writing has been on the wall for years. It's not over, it's not doomed, but it will change to hopefully a more sustainable model for decades to come. The bubble has popped, and they're rectifying the last main pieces of the VC era. He also made a short video that, of course, talking about the same thing. Now, if you scroll down even further, Jamada, you know, was part of the show. I did a it is what it is kind of reaction, and he said, y'all, it will suck to lose the studio, but they are legit positive that can come out of it long term. Brought back in Kingston Days, for example. And that is what is supposed to be it. I understand the amount of people feeling so frustrated. You know, you wake up, you have some breakfast, you eat all the kind of stuff, and then your mind is like, I'm gonna go to Berlin and have a once in a lifetime experience with all my friends, with all my family, with all my people in there. You know, the Carmen Corp fans, the Koi fans, the G2 Army, all this kind of stuff. All of that exists in the last several years with the LEC studio. And I understand losing the LEC studio, it kind of sucks for them. It sucks for the viewing experience. It sucks for the fans. It sucks for all of them. It sucks for everybody else. But the financial repercussions of having studio days is big. It's huge. Like, you have to understand the production cost, the equipment, the you know the casting rates. Well, okay, not the casting rates. All of these things are costful. This little thing cost a lot of money. And I believe David Shinar pretty much said it in his short that this whole thing was never supposed to prop up the region as a whole. It was kind of like a little byproduct of, like, hey, you are belong to Riot, so you have to produce something to make Riot rich. Pretty much saying that. And yeah, it is pretty much now paying the piper. It's literally paying the piper. All those years of VC money and all that kind of stuff is going to come home to roost. And here we are. We have to cut down studio dates. Also, funny enough, that G2 decided to bet to being sponsored by a betting company, a gambling company, of course. They just signed with a online poker company, Winnabix, who, by the way, sponsors Sheep Esports as well. So we're pretty much into the situation that it's gambling money and cut down studio days, or it's kind of like nada. But again, what he said, it's sustainable model. See, sustainable model for decades to come, which means we gotta make sure that it is that is even keel. It's not going to hurt us as much, but it's not going to make us as richer as well. Listen, listen. The venture capital days was a wild time, of course, in which like, hey, they're looking at esports being like going to be the next big thing in like 5 to 10 years, and you know that was supposed to be the dream in their heads, but we realized that it was never going to work. It's not like Major League Baseball. We don't have the media rights deals. I mean, we don't even have like the revenues, of course, and we don't have a CBA for God's sakes. We don't have any of these in sports. We just have players playing the game, coaches doing the coaching, casters being the casters, and that's it. There was like no stability, of course. And the whole thing was a facade from the beginning. I mean, the Overwatch League was kind of like where the whole facade kind of crumbled down. But it took us years and years and years until we realized we have no other choice. The bubble bust, and now we have to deal with either three things. We got to deal with gambling debt, gambling sponsorships, Saudis, or pretty much like all the above. And we are at the point right now that yeah, it's pretty much cutting down studios. It's pretty much like forcing road shows. And by the way, they said that road show games will be held in 2027, and that could be a good thing because if you can make the entire LEC being used for online gaming, which by the way, the NLC and all these other stuff have already used it, of course. So it's not like the great wackiest thing ever. But to utilize a road shows like you saw in Koi, you're gonna see it in Carmen Corp, and you're probably gonna see it in the finals way down soon. It's going to be financially beneficial to all the other teams and to the LEC as well. Because if we look at the financial situation, they've lost money. Lots and lots of money. 71 million euro invested, but 18 million euros lost in 2024. And by the way, this was like 12 days ago this article is. Do you want to talk about losing so much money? 18 million euros in 2024. Now, I just okay, let me just do my math. By the way, 18 million like 8 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. That's like I don't know, like 32 billion or something. That is like a lot of money being lost. That's a lot of money being lost over the last 2 years. Like, ugh. So let me just read the statement, of course, and this is by the way the financial statement. It said that the LEC loses money every year, and a lot of it. Losses reaches 28.5 million in 2023 before being reduced to 18 million in 2024. A $10 million euro swing that might look like progress on paper, but context matters. The league has been in the red since inception. Let me just read this again. The league has been in the red since inception, which means this entire LEC has been pretty much in the red since the beginning, since 2019. You talk about like 7 years operating with a loss, for God's sakes. Like you're pouring in money, all this kind of stuff, all those road shows in Greece and all those stuff, and you're still not financially stable. Like, what do you expect? What do you expect from this? You're thinking, oh yeah, we're gonna have the road shows and people affect guys. We can't listen. None of these guys can pay for a skin, for God's sakes. Like, by the way, they have like Warhound Senna right now, and if you buy a Warhound Senna skin, you get contributed to the esports profit. But like, I don't know if anybody can buy it right now. Nobody's buying T-shirts or cosmetics or something. Like, I just don't know where you're gonna get the money from. But the fact that you're losing so much money at the red is like, you're that surprised? Are you that surprised? Okay, so here's some good news. The good news is that revenue has exploded. They jumped from 7 euros to 18.4 million euros in a single year, 162% increase. Sponsors like Kia, KitKat, Red Bull, LG, Ultra Gear, and Secret Lab continue to invest on the ecosystem, a strong signal to stakeholders about the product's appeal. Okay, that's great. This is the graph, by the way. This is the graph. And if you can see, the COVID year, by the way, the over COVID year is like 20. The investment, of course, is like, it's fine, a little fine, little investment, not good. But over time, it's like, look at this. So 3 million yaws in revenue, and the expenditure is the same, and an increase in the revenue and an increase in expenditures. But look at the last 2 years. Look at the last 2 years on the graph. It is dire, absolute dire. Like, my God, look at the graph. It is terrifying. That graph looks terrifying. We got 7 million in revenue with a 35.7 million in terms of expenses, which is a loss of 28.5 million. And then, of course, as I mentioned in the start of the article, they bring back the revenue for 18 million and then still have 36.7 million euros, which is going to be an 18 million. But still, they have lost what, 48 million euros in the last 2 years. That is not going to cut it right now, especially considering that the bubble was burst, the VC money is gone, and we are now pretty much like cutting quarters for sustainability, which, let's be honest, I'm all for it. Esports was never going to be this rich thing like all the major sports anyways. We wanted to be niche, we wanted to be like like darts or rugby. It's like a sport that nobody cares about as much, but being watched by the few. Kind of like this golf. Would I watch this golf all the time? No. But will it be like something I can watch some time for time? Yes, I would. And if as long as it's stable and as long as it's financially capable, it can redo that. But right now, we're not financially stable. So it is what it is. Now, these are some shifting plans. Underlying these figures is a significant strategic decision that attracted relatively little public attention. Riot has changed the terms of engagement for franchise teams. Franchise owners are unanimous in identifying the principal challenge facing esports: financial predictability, namely the capacity to anticipate and project revenue over the long term in order to effectively manage operational budgets. Okay, I think it's a lot of word soup, but saying is that financial predictability, the capacity to anticipate and project revenue over the long term in order to effectively manage your operational budgets. So this whole thing meaning that I believe that so many of these owners are just like, hey, I'm gonna invest this money right now. Okay, I may be wrong. Listen, I'm not a financial person or something, but I might say I'm gonna invest this money right now. In the next 10 to 20 years, or 5 years, we could be rich as heck. We could be like 20, 30, $40 million. We'll be driving yachts. And then all of a sudden, it's like nothing happened. Just nothing happened. And even then, like, the cost to run a studio for like 3, 4, 5 days a year, it's massive. It's a headache to the Riot people. It's a headache to the people renting the building, of course. Like, imagine the rent on that building. Like about $20 million per year for that building. Like, God, that's torturous. Now, as originally designed, the LEC guaranteed organizations a fixed stipend, regardless of their competitive performance or marketing efforts. However, in 2024, Riot took a decisive step by reducing the fixed stipend to a third of its prior level, while stipulating that an additional portion of the compensation will be conditional upon the attainment of specified competitive and/or market objectives. In effect, teams are now required to exceed expectations of both competitive and marketing performance in order to balance budgets established months or even years prior. Provisions for franchise teams fell from 26 million euros to 12 million euros in the LEC's financial statements. The cause remains unclear, but the 14 million euro gap is difficult to dissociate from the purported reduction in team stipends, a corresponding 14 million euros in potential revenue lost by the organizations. Yeah, that's not great. So, partners or content providers. To understand Riot Games' logic, you need to shift perspective. The LEC is not a sports league designed to generate profits. See what I mean? It's a powerful marketing tool embedded in the publisher's DNA, serving a game that does generate a lot of money. Oh my god, the exact same thing that I feel like David Shylock said in the short. Like, again, it is never going to be a sports league. It is a powerful market. It is a quote unquote powerful marketing tool embedded in a publisher's DNA, serving a game that does generate a lot of money. You are the cash cow to Riot. The LEC and like all other leagues are kind of like the cash cow to Riot. You are there to make Riot Games feel rich, to let them sell skins. You've been playing all along. You didn't realize it until like it's too late right now. So yeah, they got played. According to EMEA Esports Director Maximilian Smith Peter Smith, Riot's official position is we do not primarily look at esports as an advertisement vehicle, although it can be. Yeah, look at you tying yourself in knots. League of Legends generates several $100 million in annual revenue, although they never, show the figures. Classic Riot, but still, mainly through in-game cosmetic purchases. The question then becomes what sustains player engagement year after year in a title now 15 years old? One major answer is esports. The real question isn't why the LEC loses money, it's whether 71 million euros to keep hundreds of thousands of dedicated players engaged is actually too expensive. A commento, a casual, or anybody passionately commentating matches on your game, most publishers would pay a lot for that. Riot gets it for free. Putting an exact figure on what this engagement generates is difficult, but the impact is undeniable. So let's do the math. In 2024, the LEC aired close to 300 hours of competition, generated over 80 million hours watched by the publisher's core audience of dedicated and loyal players. Would reaching the same audience with the same intensity through traditional advertising over 6 years have been cheaper? It wouldn't. It wouldn't. According to esports charts, the LEC's 2024 media value, the equivalent advertising value of its exposure, stands at around 35 million dollars for the three splits. Over 6 years, the culminated value surpasses the 71 million euros injected. But unlike an traditional ad spend, this investment doesn't promote a third party brand. It flows directly into the League of Legends ecosystem, giving Riot full control over how its brand is used. Yep, yep. I mean, $35 million for three splits and a $71 million euros, and all of this is going to Riot Games' pockets. Yeah. So, the LEC's annual losses of 18 million euros represent, in practice, an exceptional modest customer acquisition and retention cost for Riot Games. Moreover, there exists a dimension that financial statements are unable to reflect: the LEC's role in maintaining the cultural relevance of League of Legends within the region. In a market characterized by rapid player migration between titles, Fortnite yesterday, Valorant today, another game tomorrow, the competitive scene functions as a powerful emotional anchor. Fans are not only engaged with a game, they are invested in players like Caps and Ayoya, in organizations such as Common Corp, and in long-standing rivalries like that between G2 and Fnatic. Seen this way, the LEC is not just a cost, it's an investment in the League of Legends IP. Yep, that sentence right there. It is not a cost, it is an investment in Riot Games IP. You are there to make Riot look good and to make League of Legends the most important thing. The LEC was never going to be the most important thing in like your in Riot. No, you are there to prump up the League of Legends IP to make them money. You are there. You are there as a cash cow, and unfortunately, with the whole financial situation, it is never going to sustain long term. So, how many teams will be left to tell the story? Now, the 71 million euros invested over the 6 years, a structural deficit openly acknowledged, and yet the LEC endures. For Riot, the meaningful measure of success lies not within the league's financial statements, but in the sustained engagement of League of Legends players and the enduring relevance of a title now entering its 16th year. The underlying wager is clear. So long as the LEC sustain a competitive ecosystem, cosmetic sales will continue to flow. The outstanding question is how long this equilibrium can be maintained and at what cost. And above all, how many organizations will remain viable participants in the ecosystem? And as we can see from the last several years, not as much. The question isn't hypothetical. Of of the 10 teams that bought into the LEC in 2019, six are already gone. Only Fnatic, G2, Vitality, and NXT Gaming remained from the original lineup. Fan rumors about a possible overhaul of the competitive ecosystem within the next year or two are starting to make more and more sense. Contacted, Riot Games decides to contact. And here's the thing: fan rumors about a possible overall a competitive ecosystem within the next year or two to starting to make more and more sense. And the competitive ecosystem is kind of related to this. It's kind of related to this because with this whole online thing, they might, and I said might, gonna do some kind of circuit. Like I said, this whole thing is rumored, but they might going to lead into the circuit the same way that it did for the LEC versus thing, and they might gonna do some online games. They're gonna do some like games every single day, kind of like the LPL. You have to think about the benefits, of course. It's going to make this financially financially stable. You don't have to go to the studio every day. You don't have to do the lights and all the kind of stuff and the makeup and the productions and the food and yeah, that's an expensive thing. Those are expensive things. And I understand this is gonna hurt you because you don't get to go to the the event, the stadium, and all kind of stuff. But when you lose $18 million, and teams are probably gonna be like, they're still here, but how long do these teams will be leaving? It's there to show you that they're thinking about the long run, the short term pain for long term gain kind of thing. And I think right now, this this I know many people are mad, but I believe this is a really good thing that we needed some kind of stability. We need something to scale back. And if I have to watch games on online, so be it. I mean, the LCS wanted to be in the. I mean, the LCS wanted to like play the games online anyways. And I think like there is many um many the LCK. I bet you what the LCK how much the LCK has cost. Like look, I mean, I think I did the LCK part, and they're losing a lot of money. I don't know if they can play in Lol Park forever, or the LPL when they play like in all those home stadiums. I don't know if anything can last forever. Consider the financial losses they'll have to take because of it, and the financial stability need to take in order to do that. I mean, cutting down studio times and all kinds of stuff and making roadshows a thing. It's pretty much the way it goes. Gambling sponsorships being exist is the way to go. Ethically, unethically, the Saudi money is the way to go. It's almost had that feeling of like we get the walls are closing in, but if you can just stop, think about it for a second, and understand the last several years of financial instability that's going on right now, and the fact that right now things are going like out of control, you need to stop and think and realize what is going to make esports sustainable. It's this. It's this or it's like it's gone. That's just it. It's either, cutting stadiums, getting the gambling money, having the Saudi money, of course, or it's just nothing. It's just nothing. And I think for the long term, this is going to help them. It may suck right now that this might be the last year we might see the Berlin studio, of course, but it's for the best. It is literally for the best. It is for the benefit of the region. It's benefit for Riot, for God's sake. It's benefit for everybody, fans included, because I know you wanted to see cabs online and all that stuff, and trust me, I do. But like, nothing in these things lasts forever, especially in the world of finance and the esports and all kinds of stuff. Nothing lasts forever in these parts. Not venture capital, not crypto, not even the Saudi money can save us. Nothing. It's all about maintaining and being decent. That's all we want to do. We do not want to be like the Major League Baseballs. We do not want to be like the NBA. We just want it to be something niche, something holy, and something that we can just be thankful for. And I'm thankful for this. And I'm thankful that I get to do this like so many years, of course. And yeah, let's just keep at it. And if people do not like this whole thing and feel mad, go pound some sand, I guess. Now, for the second piece of news, we're going to go to DRX and another homestand. T1 have their homestands, and then DRX will be like, you know what? Our turn, of course. So DRX decided to host the very first ever LCK matches in Vietnam in May 8 to 10 at the Vietnam Exhibition Center in Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. As part of the LCK rounds 1 and 2 of the 2026 regular season, the team will face off against Genji on May 8th and on May 10th when it faces off against Honda Life Esports. Imagine having like Genji and Honda Life Esports in your home stand in 2 days. Like, wow, that is incredible. Now, as you can see, all the kind of stuff. And then, so the reason for all of this is that the organization is banking on the Vietnamese ADC Lazyfield, the only non-Korean player in the LCK, to build a lasting connection with a country that already ranks as the league's third largest international audience behind China and the English language broadcasts. So, you have a player that is like outside of the country. You wanted to have him connect the country. You wanted to have like a feel for it, and I think this is pretty much incredible. So the fact that we have LCK in Hong Kong and LCK in Vietnam, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And it all leads to the LCK General Secretary. This, my friends, is Lee Jong-hun, the LCK Secretary, that they wanted to do more road shows close to Korea and not just outside, like Las Vegas or something. But not yet. Not yet. It will come. That day will come, of course. It said future LCK roadshows will be limited to regions with a small time difference from Korea and a proven League of Legends fan base, according to LCK Secretary General Lee Jong-hun. Speaking at a panel ahead of the LCK Cup final in Hong Kong, COD Tag Arena on March 1st, as reported by Daily Esports, he acknowledged that narrows the list of potential destinations to just a handful. And by the way, this is a handful. This is one of the handfuls. And meaning Western fans will likely have to be patient. The Hong Kong event was the first time the LCK has hosted a road show since 2012, the first time, of course. And they explained that the decision was driven by a shift in strategy. 60% of LCK viewership already coming from outside of Korea. Yeah, that makes sense. English viewing, I mean, what's the driving force for LCK right now? Well, it's basically the great team play and the great dominance. But also, I mean, yeah, the English speaking fans know. I mean, come on. I mean, when I watched like the first damn matchup with Gen G, there were Gen G fans. Like Brazil, by the way, this is in Brazil, by the way. This tournament was in Brazil, and Gen G fans got so much, including, of course, Piano and the whole popcorn incident, which I'm not going to touch with a 7-foot pole. But still, the priority is no longer growing awareness, but deepening the connection with existing fans. Offline experiences, he urged, are the most powerful way to turn viewers into committed fans. Now, Lee chose Hong Kong for several reasons: strong local esports passion, proximity to the Chinese mainland fan base, solid ticket buying power, and the recently opened Kai Tag Arena as a deal venue. And he noted that bringing more teams to future roadshows remains difficult due to scheduling contracts, but said the league is exploring options. Well, the RX decided, hey, we wanted to do that as well. So I think if you are if you're an LCK fan right now, we are at the point of like, the LCK has grown so much already. And it feels like, you know what, let's just go in Hong Kong, let's just go to Vietnam, and who knows, maybe they might do like Malaysia or something, or like Sri Lanka or India, those kind of weird countries. And if that works, great. And the fan base keep growing and they'll do more road shows outside of Korea, that's fantastic. That's all ears. Now, of course, they're not gonna do like Las Vegas or any other place. But I swear to God, if the LCK or T1 gets to Las Vegas, it's over. It's over for the LCS. I don't think the LCS will ever even touch, Vegas or any other country with a 7 foot pole. The moment that T1 gets Vegas, mm, mm, that's game ball. That's ball game. That's ball game for everybody else. So I think this is a massive big deal for DRX to have a huge event. And consider the last time DRX having something big was their 2022 Worlds victory. This is like the second biggest thing, of course, to have their own homestand event with one of their players, of course, being involved. Of course, I bet he's feeling incredible, happy, and to have them facing against Genji and Unlife Esports, and let's be honest, consider where they are right now. I think they're gonna get clapped, but who cares? This is an important moment for this team, for the LCK. Another significant moment in the LCK with the Hong Kong finals, the showcase that the LCK is growing right now outside of their own bubble. They are getting audiences from outside. They are growing with the viewership and all kinds of stuff, and it just makes you feel like, yeah, the LCK is bigger. I mean, the LCK is bigger than Korea right now. It's literally bigger than Korea. I know I can miss words, but with all these events and all kinds of stuff, it makes you feel like this is a huge thing. This is a huge thing, and I'm happy for it. So, anyways, I think that concludes it. So to recap, I think the LEC being contracted to online events and having roadshows for 2027, as rumored, of course, it's it's a fine thing. And of course, that means they have to restructure the tournament, and that means they have to restructure everything. And if that happens, and have more days, not just the Monday, Tuesday, the Sunday thing, it's stressful enough. But to have these days being important, and then of course roadshows being important, that's all fine. I'm all fine for that. As long as it brings stability and all kind of stuff, that's fine. And of course, we have to say that the DRX having a homestand in Vietnam, it showcases that the LCK is growing beyond Korea, and I think that's good. So, anyways, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to this video. I hope I might get first time report tomorrow, but because of March Madness and everything like that, I think it might get a little busy. Or consider that Genji and JDG will sweep beside Loud and Lion. Maybe that will be a nothing burger for me. So, anyways, thank you all for watching. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I'll see you soon.